Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Good, the Bad, and the Unknown podcast. We are back for another episode, and folks, do we have a great one for you this week. On this episode, Frank welcomes 4 U.S. veterans to discuss their experiences during their service. The G.B.U. podcast is filmed and produced by Mountain View Media. Mountain View Media is your go-to creative agency for online content. And now, we kick it to Frank in studio.
Kid's got a great voice, huh?
Yeah.
I'm trying to get him a job at the Squire to introduce girls on stage.
Or either that or have them on stage.
They have a night for that, right?
Yeah, they have a night for that, right.
All right, so I put together a nice group of guys here from the military, special force guys, no joke guys. Dave, Paul, Tom, and my buddy Squigs. One of the Italians I met in the area.
Half Italian.
So these guys have been in, from 30 years ago when you first started. I want to go over with each one of you, whoever wants to go first, when you started, what made you want to go in the military, and what divisions you chose and everything like that.
All right. So I'll go first because I think I'm the oldest. You want to go that way? We do chronological? Well, I mean, from when I was in. So I was in from...
And where did you serve and all that?
Okay.
Sounds like you're going first.
Sounds like I'm going first. So I was in from 90 to 94. So 4 years. I was with the Ranger Regiment, Bravo Company, out of Fort Benning, Georgia.
Tom Block, I was in from 2010 to 2016 at Fort Benning, Georgia with 3rd Battalion, 75th Regiment, Ranger Regiment.
Paul Mybaum, 93 to 2006, and I was with the 515th Engineers at Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, then went over to Fort Rucker, Alabama, 46 Engineers, went through selection, Special Forces, and was in 1st Special Forces Group for 7 years out there, and then finished off in the National Guard in Massachusetts in 2006.
Dave Bouchard, went in 2008. And left 2012 with the 3rd Ranger Battalion, 75th Ranger Regiment, BCO.
BCO.
Frank Flowers, I held the fort down here in America.
Oh my God.
You protected the...
You guys left me alone over here. And these guys, they served some real wars.
I was
Squigs
in...
here was in Somalia.
Somalia, yep.
We had you in
Afghanistan,
Iraq.
Yep.
We had to get extra security because Paul was all over the Middle East. We don't know they're going to zero in on him over here. But
Is that his real name?
I don't know.
Pablo.
Yeah.
We didn't ask for ID.
Depends on the circles we're in. Yeah.
So, gentlemen, what made you make the decision to enter the military, and your, what division also? And I know you guys are all special force, so you had your Army Rangers, and Paul, you're
Green Beret.
Green Beret. So, what made you make those decisions, and tell us how what it took to become a Ranger and a Green Beret?
Well, for me, I graduated high school, and my father had a car dealership, and I worked for him for a while. But unfortunately, I was a wild child going down the wrong road for several years. And then finally wasn't working with him anymore. Life wasn't working out well. I said, I got to get the hell out of here, start over. Joined the Army as an engineer, and it was boring to me. So some guy had told me that I hung out with once in a while, there's a recruiter coming. I didn't know Special Forces, just a movie at the time. He said, if you make it through this, you won't be bored again, basically. And so I did it, made it. It was going to be one and done.
Green Beret.
Yeah. And made it out, went out to, after Fort Bragg, went out to Fort Lewis, Washington, and then all over Eastern Asia, pretty much. And the training was challenging. The ongoing training was challenging. You can get pretty much all the schools you want.
So these are, you guys talk all the time. Is the training the same as the Rangers?
It's a bit different. It's the specificity is different, but the whole idea of our selection process is, it's not like the regular military, which they need numbers to a certain degree. So if you're borderline, they'll take you, coax you over. With us, it's not so much numbers than what the personnel, the right personnel. If you don't make the cut, you're gone. That's it.
Can we talk about some of the training you had to go through?
Well, for us, for the selection process, it was running, road marches, a lot of navigation, tons of navigation. But supposedly in the 3-week selection process, you do 220 miles or something like that with over 55, 60 pounds, whatever it is on your back between that
120
weapon.
miles what? With
For marching, between road marches and navigation and all that different stuff. Like the culmination at the end, it depends on the class, I think is 26 or 28-mile road march at the end to finish it up. And we're basically they're tabulating all your scores and everything else to see if
I
you.
think you're being kind. More than marching. What else did you?
It was a lot, a lot of running, not much sleep and food deprivation, like say with ranger school and stuff like that. You do get some, but it was mostly physical. Log drills where they take half a telephone pole and have a group of guys curling and pushing it up and doing all these things for God knows how long till you hated life. And then, different things like that.
So Paul, how many guys started and / finished your class, you think?
Honestly, I don't remember. Probably 250, something like that. And I remember probably over half washed, more than that probably.
About a 60.
But just to get in there, you have to pass usually the units. Like the National Guard has their own selection, and for us, you had to be signed off by the captain of your unit, the leadership, that you're worthy enough to go there. So even with that, you get the washout, right? Essentially, either quitting or getting hurt.
So it's not for everybody.
No, and that's the whole idea behind it, to get the right type of lunatic.
How many guys went in when you went? And how many?
That's probably maybe 250 or so. And
How many became?
by the time the qualification course is done, probably a quarter, third, something like that. Because you lose some in the Q course too.
You guys did the Ranger course, right?
RASP, Ranger Assessment and Selection Program, and Pete did
I was
RIP.
a little bit earlier.
I think did you
RIP.
RIP as
Did
well?
RIP, yep.
So I came in 2010, and we were the 4th RASP class. That was when they revamped from Ranger Indoctrination Indoctrination Program, and then Ranger Assessment and Selection Program.
So there's different divisions of Rangers.
No, they just revamped the selection process when I got there. So it was the new hotness at the time, but the same love.
Right. So it's a little bit, RIP is, so let's take a step back.
Yeah.
So you go into the military, some may, but most get a contract to try out for the Ranger Regiment. And that includes going through basic training, then you go through what's called your advanced school or advanced class. And most of us, I was infantry.
Yep.
You infantry. Infantry.
So
but you have all
OSIT.
different. You have,
So you joined the Army and then you joined the Rangers.
yes, yeah.
Yes.
How long after?
So I don't know what's basic. A couple of months.
15
You make a
weeks.
decision.
15 weeks.
Well, 15
No.
weeks. Then during my time, it was airborne school for 3 weeks.
3 weeks, right?
And then so that you could jump right when you got to your unit, and from after airborne school, we'd go to selection. Some dudes would sit and hold over. Some guys would go right away. I was fortunate enough to get there and go right away. And
That's about a 3 to 4 week.
the first phase for RAS, and then the second phase is they try to train you up a little bit more with some marksmanship, other stuff that we like to do with like breaching, land nav, more land nav.
Right.
Just so that when you get to your company, that you are somewhat versed in what we do as a ranger. Yep.
Any of you guys snipers? Or did you train for it?
Yep. I think you're training for it now. No. Oh well, yeah, I trained for it.
Oh, did you?
Yep. Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of math, but it's a lot of fun. Yep.
Yeah, and I trained. I wasn't with the sniper group, but I got to go to kind of a basic school, the official school. But yeah, there's a team of just snipers and this team of different groups broken down into their specialties.
Yep.
Mortars, that sort of thing.
What was your training like to become a Ranger?
So basic training
Physical training.
is pretty simple, I would think, for most everyone. If you've made it through that, that was easy. Airborne is frankly pretty simple. The big part is you have
Gravity
to jump
does
out
all
of
the work.
You got to jump out of the door, right?
Tough part.
Right, that's the tough part.
Yep.
And sometimes there are guys that freeze in the door, and you'll even see what's
Talking about a plane?
a plane. Yeah, I should say airborne.
Yeah.
So jumping
Get
out
a
with a
boot in the
parachute.
rear end.
Yeah.
Right.
They get, well, that's assistance.
parachute's always
That's just
open?
assistance.
Yeah, so that's,
You got to pray that they open.
yeah. You're on a lanyard, so this is called a static line, right?
Yep.
So there's two different types of jumping.
Right
Most
here.
everyone
That's
is
your,
static line.
That's your reserve right here.
It's attached to the plane as you go out the door. The wind sucks you right out. Chute gets pulled out, and you float down to the ground. Then there's something called an advanced school, Halo School, which I didn't. I don't know if any of you guys went through. That's high altitude, low opening, where you're jumping out free falling. That's a whole different. That's years in the making, and you don't get there. Not too many people get to it.
Not as a
But it's
ranger, yeah.
Yeah, not as a ranger. Every once in a while they do, but
Well,
yeah.
you're senior enlisted if you're going though.
Going
You
right.
guys serve together?
We did. I was kind of on my way out, and he was on his way in. So I was smoking him, and
Yeah.
he
No, yeah,
we,
you got
we were
me
in
once.
different we were in different platoons, but no, we did what a deployment together, right?
No, so you came back and then you were on your way out, and we did a training cycle together.
That's right.
We did the full training cycle together, and that's when you got to smoke me out at DMPRC during our platoon live fires.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
I had it coming though, so it's okay.
So I was in a different era, right? These guys are what's called GWOT, post GWOT, meaning Global War on Terror. I was pre GWOT, meaning I did not go to 9/11. I was before 9/11. I was in the 90s. So there was a lot more training and going overseas to different areas to train. There wasn't too much combat. I wouldn't say lucky, but I was one of the few companies within the Ranger Regiment in the 90s that went and saw real world action, as they call it, and obviously Somalia. But before that, and even in between that, the regiment was a little bit different. There's a lot more training. There's a lot more. So that training we talked about is RIP or RASP. They kind of changed the name, but it's roughly the same thing. Where there's, like Paul had said in the Q course of Special Forces, high fail out rate. People just don't want to be there. They can't hang it, or they get hurt and they get recycled. And a lot of times, a lot of guys are just like, I can't stick around to another full class and potentially not make it. So I think, and don't hold me to this, but RIP RASP is probably about a 60 to 70% fail out rate.
About when I went through, we started with about 100. I think the last count that I heard was about 142, and we graduated 38.
Right.
Yeah, that was my class.
Right. And that's a combination over those 3 to 4 weeks plus of people either just saying they can't make it, they don't want to be here, it's not for them, or they get hurt or whatever, that sort of thing. So
Those are the guys, they weed them out.
they weed them out. And to be frank, there's just like anything, they're good guys, right? It's just like anything, making any type of team. There's a lot of great guys that potentially should have been on the team or could have been on the team, but for whatever reason just didn't make the team. Right?
So the missions from Green Beret to Rangers, are they the same type of missions? Or
No.
No. So
They
that's
overlap a little bit, but yeah, they do. Go ahead.
they SF. They have the capabilities as we do. Are all infantrymen at the end of the day. We just specialize in different things. Force multipliers, hammer.
So when you go ahead, Paul.
We did a lot of going to different countries and training people to protect themselves. Now you do have your door kicker teams, your scuba teams, your halo teams, and all that, but predominantly going over to do what they call JSES, Joint Combined Exercise Training. And we spent a lot of time in places like Japan and Thailand, other parts of Eastern Asia.
And you guys even
predominantly.
learn a language or multiple.
To a basic degree, I've learned to read, speak, and write Russian. Probably not too popular nowadays, but I still keep up with it a little bit.
Dr. Putin at all?
Not yet. He's avoiding my calls. I would too, though.
I tried to get him here. He wouldn't come.
Yeah.
Right. So the Ranger Regiment is more of a direct action type unit, whereas you saw Grenada or Panama, where they go in either there's some special airfield seizures where they'll take over the country's airfields, airports, so that follow-on troops can land. So we did a lot of training around that, jumping out of planes onto an airfield, making sure the airfields are open, making sure they're secure, quote unquote, fighting the bad guys that are holding the airfields. More direct action missions, and I think got even expanded much more once GWOT happened, where you were doing much more direct action, going after what's called high value targets, such as a really bad guy in Iraq or Afghanistan.
So everybody can understand.
Yeah.
So there's the Rangers, okay?
Yep.
And then there's units and battalions and companies, okay? Right?
Yep.
So-
Regiment, battalions, company, platoon, then individual, what's called fire squad, which is a couple of guys.
Okay, so when they send you in, you have the backup of the Army also, the rest of the Army?
You have a package that is made together, and a lot of times they're called a task force, right? And that's in most units, but you have an air asset, and there's Army Special Operations helicopter units. You may have SEALs with you. You could have, a lot of times, Air Force.
Oh, really?
Special Operations guys, right? So we're going into an airfield. The Rangers are jumping in with some Air Force guys, potentially, maybe some other what's called Tier 1 unit guys, and we're taking over that airfield. But now we have to have follow-on planes come in with troops. Could be any type of Army, U.S. Army troop. Somebody has to be able to radio them in, talk to them, that sort of thing. So that's where the Air Force guys come into play. So usually a mission is considered some sort of package of multiple specialized units, special operations units.
In the Rangers also, Army, you guys fly helicopters. Were you flying helicopters? I thought
Yeah,
about that.
I was on. We
You didn't fly them.
No.
yeah.
I thought our main method of transportation, I know in Afghanistan, were the Chinooks, the big buses, but those things.
Who drives the equipment, the helicopters?
So you have a
special training?
specialized unit that are helicopter
They're trained
pilots.
and
Yes,
everything.
and
The Humvees.
Humvees are up armored, different types of, depending on what the mission is. You could be, special forces guys were on horses at one point in Afghanistan.
You guys, you're trained to drive those?
Different folks are, yeah.
And who makes the call for the guy that has to stay outside with the gun on top of the Humvee?
He's the new guy.
Yeah,
he's
team sergeant. Yeah, team sergeant.
big weapons guy.
He is.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
all he was, and it was kind of like, hey,
Next.
Yeah.
guess what?
You're next.
Next mission tomorrow. You're on the gun.
You're next,
tomorrow.
yeah. Well, it's a
guys are
it's
laughing
a
about it.
rotation.
It's a rotation.
Used to it, but
What else are you gonna do? Cry about it?
Right.
No,
What
I
do
mean,
you
got
say
fucking
no?
time for that.
Say no. Yeah.
wild.
Yeah.
Next.
We had that same situation on mission.
I'm on break.
Yeah.
We had that type of same situation where IEDs were everywhere, right?
Yeah.
And our point guy is we go in a V formation, so that point guy is that guy leading us to the target, and he hit an IED that the shrapnel hit his helmet, got him really concussed. So he was out. The next guy was in. So and that's what they train you on. Everybody knows everybody's job.
Yep.
And that's kind of like the
Step in
big thing.
Any moment you can step in.
It's like room clearing, same thing. First guy goes down, the second guy steps up. It's the same
Yep.
type of
And it's a
thing.
rotational thing. So you could be clearing rooms with your superior if he's in it.
Yep.
Because you're just flowing. Yep. So
Everyone
you
does everyone's job.
You have to worry about in a real world situation. Tom goes down. If he's on the radio, who's on the radio now? Somebody has to understand how to use the radio.
Yep.
Or if he's navigating, especially going over land with whatever, it could be GPS or it could be a map, and they do that a lot of times in training. Tom's dead. You're in charge. Where are we?
Yep.
And you can fail that a lot of times. So you always have to know kind of what the other guy is doing, because at any time, that main primary person could be taken out.
So then there's a huge trust factor then.
Massive trust factor.
Massive trust factor.
This is why the training's important.
Implicit.
Yep.
I mean, you are literally with these guys on a regular basis for almost the entire year, except for maybe block leave before and after deployment, and maybe a 4-day weekend. You trust these people with your life so much so that you begin to know exactly who they are in the middle of the night just by the way they're walking through underneath nods. Like you can see them under nods, and you don't know that person's face, but you can tell how they're walking. That's
Their gait,
That's
their
Pete.
walk. Yeah.
That's Paul. That's
So everybody's on the same page.
1,000%.
Yep.
Yeah, you can.
No
They won't-
Santiago's in the crew.
They won't take you out if they don't feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's happened before.
Right.
And they'll train you up till they feel comfortable, or you don't pass their standard, they'll see you later.
Yeah.
Left to leave.
That's
Yeah,
really
the real selection happens when you get on a team.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's a
yeah.
great point.
You come in after language school, a year of training or whatever, and they're like, you get your green beret, you're proud, and they're like, who the hell's this
Yeah,
idiot?
yeah.
Get that off. You're the guy to get us hurt by what you know at this point.
Right. That was the worst part of the experience for being in the military to me. It was once I made it through all the selection process and teams, was getting to the actual unit, and then I was still considered a piece of shit.
Yep.
Right. Until you kind of proved yourself. Yeah.
So
it's almost like
like
the freshman on the varsity football team. You know what I mean? Or whatever team. I relate that a lot to sports teams. Yeah, the kid made the team, but you're not part of the team yet until you can, prove yourself. Right.
Yeah, I would always kind of jest with some of the other guys too. It's like, yeah, you got here, but you got a bullseye on your back right now, and somebody's aiming for it. And you screw up just this much, you're out.
Yeah, when I said Santiago, I'm referring to A Few Good Men.
Oh yeah, yeah, Santiago, yeah.
It's true. You got a weak link in there, and
Every once in a while there is.
people killed. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah.
Every once in a while there
Same
is.
here.
The goal is to come back home.
Yep.
Yeah.
Many times.
Everybody-
Slip through the cracks like
Yeah,
everything else.
yeah.
Yep.
Or you know what?
They
We've
get
had
found out eventually.
we had an officer that was DS who was basically sent packing because he had what's called an AD, an accidental discharge. We were training, and in the regiment, at least when I was in, you're doing live fire training. The guys right next to you are going forward, that sort of thing. When it is time, you put on safety. If somebody lets off a round, that's taboo.
Well, you were in Somalia. You were in
Yep.
the battle.
Yep.
You were a good crew. I mean, you guys lost a few guys there.
Yep.
If you want to talk about a mission, or it's up to you.
Sure, I don't mind talking about it. I mean, it's been written about on movies, I think, ad nauseum. But my experience, I was what's called a specialist in E4 at the time. We had gone on with, where I talked about before, a task force of folks. We had ourselves what's called Bravo Company, 3rd Ranger Battalion, which is a company within the 3rd Battalion, part of the regiment. In fact, small world. Both Paul and Bouchard Dave, I should say, we're all at the same time, not the same time, but in the same small company at different points of our career. But so Somalia, Mogadishu was a package of Rangers, Delta Force, as people commonly know them, a squadron of them. The Task Force 160th, it's now, they're the Special Operations helicopter pilots, both made up of Black Hawk helicopters and what's called the Little Birds.
Were you in a helicopter or the?
Different times I was, yeah, different missions. So the movie itself, everyone knows about the movie. That was just one main mission, the big battle, big mission where we lost a lot of folks. Beforehand, there had been previous missions to go and kill or actually capture some of the warlords and some of his underlings, lieutenants, to take them out. So Somalia was a failed state. The UN had gone in to try and help. There had been famine and there had been a civil war, so it was a perfect storm. And it was like, have you ever seen the movie Mad Max? There was no infrastructure, there was no government, there was no sanitation, there was no police force. Everyone was for themselves, and it could be, a little village over here had a bunch of weapons and some gas, and that village over there didn't, and they're coming to try and get it. It's all militia. So in the UN, in their decision process was, we're going to go help that country. We're going to help those people. There's starvation going on. Well, you sent those folks in, and then they start getting attacked for their supplies and their water and So now there was a warlord there at the time that the UN put an edict out to go capture or kill, take him to court, essentially, arrest him. So and then at that point, a couple of American MPs, I think, had been killed, had been blown up by a IED, if I remember correctly. So that's when they sent us in. And then it just goes on from there, the fighting and going after him and his lieutenants.
You guys were in Afghanistan, in Iraq, right?
Yeah, I was in Baghdad. We were actually kind of on a stand down most of that deployment.
What the raids? Were you involved in the raids?
In Iraq, not really. I was actually a private, so I actually talk about drivers. I was a driver of one of the Strikers, the big, what is it, eight wheels,
Yep.
eight wheel infantry,
vehicle.
the infantry transport, and it's just I was just part of that. I think we did maybe like 4 missions in Iraq. We were on standout, so everything was kind of hush hush, and but Afghanistan was my 2 deployments. Those were my biggest.
Yeah.
My biggest.
Volunteer for extra tours or anything?
Well,
'Cause
You kind of volunteer for extra tours by just going to regiment.
yeah.
See, the rotation that we were on went during the GWOT from the start to the absolute finish. When the last Ranger stepped foot off the ground in Kabul, was 1st, 2nd, 3rd Battalion, 1, 2, 3 every year, and then just rotated. So I was on my 4th deployment in 3 years when I got hurt.
you got hurt.
Yeah, well, that's what this is. I mean, I wasn't running with scissors. But yeah, so
Running with guns.
yeah, running and gunning.
What happened?
We'll get to that. But so each of our deployments was about 105 days, and so in between, during that time, we do all of our training stateside to go execute missions in country, and we're not there to train and like hang out. We're there to be working. So if we're down, like because of weather or civilian casualty that happens on a mission, like that's not good because we got a lot of assets that are just sitting on the ground that need to be used. So they try pushing us out the door as much as they can. So we got a lot of missions in Afghanistan at least.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, there was how many did you do?
My first deployment, we did just under 100, I think.
Wow. And that's you had multiple 4 deployments?
Yep.
Were you 2 deployments? How were you?
Two deployments.
Yeah.
We were Southeast
Yeah,
Asia.
you were
Out
all
of uniform is when I did all my stuff.
3 deployments? All right.
Yeah, I was a civilian
Not that we're counting.
Yeah.
I mean, what I did in the past kind of get me in the door, but
Right.
the other stuff was because of being a contractor, and actually making the big bucks when all
There you
that
go.
happened.
Yeah.
But my point to all that, there's Rangers or Special Forces who have 12 deployments,
Oh yeah.
14 deployments.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah.
One after another.
Going
After
out,
another.
Not after-
year after
not
year after
uncommon.
year going.
All over the world.
And
I mean-
not just that, not just those standard, 3 to 4 month deployments.
Yeah.
I got I don't know, you got surge too?
I didn't get to be a part of that, but we had teams like Merrill and Darby.
Yep.
That was pre and prior like deployment. So you can speak to that. I'll let you.
Yeah, no. So they before actual 3rd Ranger Battalion deployed for their rotation, they would take 1 or 2 companies.
Yeah,
think 2.
It was definitely one. At most 2.
Yep.
From what I remember.
Prior to, so a month.
Yeah, about a month.
Yeah, a month prior to the rest of the battalion deploying. That was part of the surge, and then they would keep, the same amount.
Yeah, about a company and a half.
A company and a half at the end of their deployment, while the next rotation came in. So it was a big surge.
leaving people behind, so the next group, battalion, company can come, kind of gets to understand what's going on in that part of the country that you're working.
And the mission tone,
Yeah.
the mission tempo was very high too.
Yeah, right. So
they were using us to when we were surged, they were using us to infiltrate a compound, tell those people to get out, and then go pick fights with the Taliban.
Yep.
So we would stay there 24 hours. If there was no activity, we'd see you later, go do it another day. And that was constant. That was our mission while we were there. And then when we
essentially
were
get
actually
fights.
right,
And
and actually
find the bad guys that come.
when we were on deployment, then we would do those raids, those high value target hits, and joint operations with other units. And
you guys would do, and I don't mean to speak for, but multiple raids in a night, right?
Right.
So you'd be, we're in the town of right now, right? So think of it as the Ranger Regiment, where the company comes in, we fly in by helicopter in the middle of the night, and we're going to hit this house, and then we find out there's intelligence here. Frank is giving away. He's a stool pigeon. He's giving everything away.
Easy.
Singing like a canary, they said.
Ready, they put me
All
here.
right, okay. But he tells
He was
about the
tweeting
house
before the
down
website was a thing.
Right. But he tells about the house down the street has a couple of weapons, or they interrogate him. So then you're taking flights over there to go raid that house. I don't mean to speak.
Yep.
I wasn't there, but that's essentially what the
And
unit was doing.
And our job was to killer capture, but also collect the intel. So cell phones were big. They sometimes had CDs and stuff that you just throw in a bag and you give it to intel when.
Frankie, if we're coming in here, we're going for the Sambuca. We're going to go for the Gabagoo.
Some good
We'll
intel.
go with the cannolis and then race out of here.
You know what? I got
Yeah.
a chance to eat with you guys. You're all back to earth here. Regular guys again. But there's no way.
We tricked him.
Yeah.
There's no way, you guys. You had to feel that
fake the funk.
anxiety, and just being out there, you know.
It's,
And especially losing good, you know, guys that you
Oh
train.
God, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I know you say, "Oh, next, whatever," but I can
Oh, there
imagine
was-
what it feels like to
Yeah.
be able to. I know Paul's got some.
I mean, I lost one of my best friends. We went to the Q course to get qualification course together. I think I met him at Select, maybe, but Q course, we were commo guys, everything else. So he went SF, then he went to Ranger School. He made it all the way through Delta Force. In his very first mission, got killed by, you know, in combat. So it was like, Jesus.
I mean, when you guys are there, I'm sure. I don't know if you think about it, but
Oh yeah, you get the guilt in some
going
cases.
home
You
and,
know,
you know what I
they're,
mean?
you're
Oh, yeah.
dead. I'm not.
you guys
I'm-
weren't
I'm
married and
home.
kids at the time. No, just
No.
I was.
But you're still scared shitless.
You were?
yeah.
Yeah.
I was a
Yeah,
contractor
yeah.
when I did most of my Middle East stuff. We were predominantly Southeast Asia.
You know, I had this kid. He applied to work for me as a bouncer, but he was my size, maybe a little smaller. And I'm like, "You're too small." And he went to Afghanistan. He did the raids. He goes, "Kid, I jumped out of helicopters. I did raids." They were doing, you know, as many as you guys said you did. I'm like, "Nah, you're too small. These guys get in fights. It's hard to break up a fight when you're small." We gave him the job. His first night, he got his head kicked in. Did not give up, this kid. This kid did not give up. He ended up working for us like 5 years. What balls on this kid?
Yeah.
And that's
Strong-minded.
that's
He didn't
that's what
care.
they want. That's the mentality.
They would punch him in the face. They would annihilate him.
That's
Got
the
up.
mentality. When you get into
Never
you know
give
these
up.
units,
Never quit.
it's a
Never
never
quit.
quit. And if you do, you're
It's taboo.
yeah, you're shit on a stick. You're,
We
like,
only had
they'll
12-man
grill you.
teams, so if you get a guy or two that quits, there goes your team.
Yeah.
That's 12 to start with, if you're lucky. Most of the teams were shorter.
And that's why the
time.
training's so ridiculous and so hard. And so it's you know, it's the word is they smoke you. They basically make you want to. Half the time, guys are puking. Right, you still got to keep running. or
It's
walking.
recommended PT.
Right, yeah. You know, you're doing everything to failure. You're doing it with maybe one meal a day, maybe a couple hours of sleep, maybe no sleep for the first day. You're cold, you're tired, you're wet. You're sitting out in the swamps of Georgia or wherever, right, doing an ambush, and you're miserable. It sucks. I don't care who be the toughest, and that's frankly probably why I only stayed in for a couple of years. I'm not tough enough. I couldn't do it for 20 years. I really couldn't.
Crazy. I mean,
Couldn't. You're
other
sleeping in the
than
ground. Yeah, it's terrible.
I loved it.
Yeah. Some guys, no, some guys, hey, listen, he loves
Except
it.
for the landscaping accident.
Fireworks.
No, there's guys that are careers. Paul's a career guy, right?
Obviously,
Yeah.
that's close.
No,
call.
not 13 years.
Well, but yeah. I mean, you know, we have buddies. We all, you know, buddies who stayed in for 20 plus years, and my hat's off to them. I don't know how they did it for that long, and you know, especially when you have families too,
Yeah.
because you're deployed, you know, 9 months out of the year, give or take a couple of months here or there, right?
Oh, but I mean the training cycle too. To speak to that, even if we are deployed for 4 months out of the year in a regular rotation, like during the GWOT, during the training cycle, you're still gone. You're on the range. You're in the shoot house. You're in the weight
Late
room, or you're
nights.
late nights doing
late night jump onto.
Yep.
Early mornings.
even just equipment accountability.
Yep.
You know,
So obviously, you had a close call.
yeah.
I'm sure you guys were with guys close calls. Does that you got to regroup together and get everybody?
Yeah, so there is definitely something that happens when, you know, the group, you know, whether it's a team or or even a platoon of guys and somebody gets tagged, you know, everybody feels it because we all spend so much time with each other. And even just not even at a company level and a battalion level, like when Ares happened, that hit the community, not just the battalion. So that was, I mean,
What's Ares?
Ares was the mission where I got hurt, and that's how this came to be. So that was October 5th. It's actually credited as October 6th, but it was the night of the 5th. This was my 4th deployment. We were in Kandahar, and it was just a direct action raid like we had done numerous times. Nothing out of the ordinary. You know, same mission set, same con up, all that kind of stuff. You know, we're all excited at the flight line because we get to land on the X, which means we get to land like right outside the front door of the house, so we don't have to walk anywhere, which is a bonus.
Really?
Because we're all heavy.
Right.
We're all weight. You know, I
It's
mean,
all mountains, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Southern, well, Kandahar, not so bad. But
Yeah, it's different. So the different
Desert
regions
Yeah.
is you could be working in the desert
Nevada.
deployment and in the mountains the next deployment.
yeah.
But the point is, you're not in shorts and flip flops running over.
No.
You're not comfortable.
No,
You're
and
in
it
some
was-
heavy gear.
It was October, but it was still hot. Like, you could feel that heat from the desert and the sand coming off of it, when you're flying. And so just another night like any other. And I got to be part of the call out team. So I got to be at the breach. And so we land the birds.
So I'm going to interrupt just because we think, what is a breach? Because I know people listen.
Breach. So at the breach, the front door, essentially.
Okay.
Yep. So I was
First guys.
I was the guy at the entryway. So at this point in the war, we had ROE constraints where we had to do call outs. So we could be very, very aggressive and like have all the momentum going in our favor into a battle situation. And then we have to stop at the front door and say, "Hey, hi, are you there? Can you come out and talk to us about your Lord and Savior Jesus Christ or some crap like that?" It was kind of nauseating and problematic for a few reasons that you can obviously tell because you lose all the momentum. They keyed on that. They knew that was coming. And so when I got to the breach and I started giving them commands, to do this, that, or the other, our momentum was stopped and they had time to rig what we think was a daisy-chained IED strand that went around the perimeter of the compound that we were attacking. So the bird lands, huge brownout comes down. We always fly with the rear door open. So you get your calls, 30 seconds, 1 minute, 30 seconds, your hands on your carabiner. The bird lands, it rolls, stops, everybody rocks back, rocks forward, and you were out that bird. I was the first one off. Wrap wasn't even touching the ground, and I was like halfway to the door.
So Tom, a brownout, just so everyone knows. Right? You say we all
brownout, dust out, yeah.
Brownout is you're in a desert and the rotor wash from the helicopters. You sometimes can't even see your hand in front of your face.
Yeah.
So a lot of times in training, that's why we will do stay in our lanes, right? You don't want to shoot your buddy, right? Because you can't see. You don't know. That'll quickly dissipate. But when you first land, it's mass commotion. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
It's chaotic, but
It
it's
is.
so
You're
controlled,
pumped, yeah.
and your adrenaline's flowing.
So you
I mean,
ran into one of those.
No, I mean, I knew where the building was. We ended up, we got to the building and got to the breach, but it was, it's pretty awesome. You're coming off a bird and there's this dust billowing out and you just come running through it like a freaking banshee.
Yeah,
it's fucking awesome. I know about the F's. Sorry.
Oh no, scissors come.
That'll be edited out.
And so I get to the breach and
I swear the most. I'm good at this.
we get to the breach and I got two people just kind of sitting in a little. It's just a small courtyard. It's not even like a big one. More like just like kind of a little run that's kind of surrounded by a bullshit snow fence with some sticks up against it. So it was kind of screwy. They were outside. There was a woman there dressed in full burqa at 3:00 in the morning. So I was that was weird. I had never seen that before. In all the missions prior to that, everybody's in their PJs, and then have to get dressed, kind of thing. And so we got the boyfriend to come up and come to me, and I grab him by the shirt collar, and I'm about to bring him back around the corner after I have my gun up on his shoulder, and my little laser that's on it is dancing, on the face of the chick, and I take a step back, and she jumps up, and I'm, and I had given my saw gunner the command, like, hey, if she moves, we got, it's a weird feeling all around, floor her. Well, he didn't do that, and she got within about 8 to 10 feet of me and blew herself up.
Come on.
Yeah. So she vaporizes, levels everybody that is kind of like online watching this happen. Thank God they're a little bit further away because she was running towards me. And I just, I held my position and I held him in front of me. And I was trying to squeeze it off, but I don't know if I got one off or not. But she blew up and, he vaporized. I have like chunks still in my face right here and on my chest, like this one started coming
He
out.
vaporized in front of you, so
His bones went through the fedora of my plate carrier and melted in the American flag that I had wrapped around the plates.
Crazy.
Yeah.
And was his bones the one that damaged you?
No, they think that was my I think they thought it was like my my Elcan, my sight, my optic
gun?
that was on my gun, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, it came flying back.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, there was shrapnel and everything, though. She must have.
So they,
right?
I
think, assume, yeah.
I was recently told. I don't know how.
Did you go down? Oh, cold?
Yeah, no, I didn't go down, but I didn't go out cold, but I definitely went down. Obviously.
That's what I meant, like out cold.
I mean, I was 10 feet away from an explosion that they guess was set by a 105 round.
Which is massive round. Big, yeah.
That big? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I ate that, and then kind of sat there, and for about a minute, I heard 2 more explosions go off, which I think was the explosion that killed our friends Pat and Cody, and then there was another explosion that I heard that I think might have been the dog, the squirter team that they experienced that.
So, I don't mean to, but what's a squirter? What are they, when you say
Squirter,
right?
a squirter was an individual that would run from the target compound. So, say we attribute 6 people at this target compound, which we did. And what happened was upon landing, we got people getting out of Dodge.
Right.
They're running away from the target building, squirting from the building.
Right.
So we had a squirter interdiction team, and what happens is that I run to the building, and we have another team that comes off, button hooks right, and goes after the bad guys on foot. So those are our runners, not me. Hammer.
So Tom, not to, but you're being very
Natural?
Huh?
Natural?
No, natural. Just no, but I mean, just to you're being very facing. Right? But my point is, there was multiple people killed that day on that individual mission. Unfortunately,
Yes.
It was a rigged compound. A lot of IEDs went off.
Yeah.
A lot of guys got killed, and including a woman.
Yep.
who
Jen
was-
Moreno.
Yeah, she was part of the team as far as what did they call them over there?
Cultural support technicians.
Oh, so there are woman
CST?
rangers
Yeah.
also?
Yep.
So
Yeah.
yeah, they just started that a few years ago.
Yep.
Not to get off on its series, but
Yeah.
some women can now get in. They still have the same requirements.
Same exact requirements?
Yeah. You guys know better than I, but I
don't know.
Yeah,
I can't.
yeah,
That's what they advertise. I don't know
I
what
mean, they got to be a beast to want to be.
Can't take that away from them.
Yeah.
Can't take that away
think
from them
just a
because
woman.
just to show up and want to be a part of that, you have to be a little bit nuts, just like he said, the right kind of lunatic.
Right.
I mean,
And she's a woman.
and yeah.
I mean, so it's pretty impressive. So they would use women in the
To interface with the women and the children on target, because when we would do these raids and perform these direct action raids, we're usually doing it at their homes, place of residence. So you're gonna have wives, children, all that kind of stuff, and
You're searching them.
when you're searching them. So to be culturally sensitive, we brought women out with us so that they can handle that and not the American man.
So any of you ever get caught by the enemy or anything?
Not that I'm aware of.
That what? Would you?
Not on mission. Not when we go out on mission. Because like usually when we're going on a mission,
Questioned or anything?
for just like a single high value target, I mean that's 80 guys, dressed to the hilt and everything, plus all the assets up above, for one guy, and nobody's getting becoming a hostage that night, except for the bad guy.
Yeah, they don't wanna be.
And part of our creed is not to leave a ranger behind.
Yeah.
So
No fallen
if
comrade.
something, fallen Conrad. So if something like that were to happen, we would not leave.
We're staying. We're staying until we find that person. We're bringing them home.
That's what happened in Mogadishu. Essentially, part of it. We were exfilling out means we were getting out. We had captured some of our targets, and we were leaving. And one of the birds went down. One of the birds got shot out of the air. Bird crashed a couple hundred yards from the target building. We went over there. The group, as we were leaving, went to go secure that, try and get the dead, get the wounded out of that helicopter. There was only 4 at the time in it. The two pilots, 2 crew chiefs. The problem was we couldn't get one, and they were all dead, I think, if I remember correctly. But one of the pilots was trapped in the helicopter had collapsed in on him. We couldn't get him out of the bird, so we were in the process of trying to get his body out to bring back. The as these guys mentioned, part of the creed of the Ranger Regiment, never leave a man behind. No man left behind. Meaning, even if his body, even if he's dead, at least his family has a body. At least you have a service type thing, right? Never want to be captured or leave a body behind. So that's what was happening. In that time span, as we were trying to get the dead and wounded out, we were then getting surrounded because we were not leaving. Now, is that the great, people can argue all day long, is that the best tactical thing to do? To us, it is, right? Don't leave your comrades behind.
Put you guys in danger.
Yeah, I mean,
You can't spell danger without ranger without danger.
there you go, right?
And anger.
And anger.
And anger.
Right.
Anger, danger.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But levity to it. So that was part of it. But I'm sure there's other missions in GWOT where, obviously there's clearly Rangers and Special Forces guys who were killed on missions. You didn't leave them behind, right? You made sure that you got them. In fact, there's a couple of Medal of Honor winners for doing that exact, part of the heroism of it was going to help other Rangers, other Special Forces, other teammates out, so we could get them out alive or their body.
So with the Green Berets, same thing then. You don't leave
Very,
them behind.
you don't leave anybody behind. Even
Just don't do it.
Did you have any missions that I thought you said you got captured or something?
Oh, I was a civilian contractor
Oh,
in Pakistan. I had been in Afghanistan for probably 2.5 years and was approached to do a job next door.
By yourself?
Communications guy. Yeah, for that particular thing. There were other people already there, to include, oddly enough, people from my old SF unit. My old company commander major was a full bird colonel at that point, Bart. And anyway, so I went over. We were there for a month doing commo things, all that. That was when the Bin Laden thing was going on. They found out, they got wind he was over there, so they were following his couriers and doing all that. So we were there for about a month doing commo things. And on my way out the door, and we still can't decipher for whatever reason, I got snatched up at the airport. Basically, I had a laptop bag that went through Dubai, so nothing's in that thing. No rounds, no armament, nothing was in that bag ever. And on the way out the airport, somebody from one of the Pakistanis grabs my bag and is probably about 50 feet, 60 feet away from me, rifling through the bag. Now, the bag had already gone through the x-ray machine, so I knew, all right, so why is he over there with it? So come to find out, he pulled out rounds in the bag that had rust on them. Everything else is, I couldn't determine what they
They're
were.
looking for what, information?
Just to roll me up for whatever reason.
Set you up for whatever reason.
For whatever reason.
Yep.
I was part of a team that was over there. We were doing our thing. But anyways, ended up getting, make a long story short, jailed for a couple of days with 18 very smelly guys in a cell, literally waiting to get torn apart. They have a school in the special ops community. It's in the military, but special ops all have to go through it, called SERE School, Survival, Escape, Resistance, Evasion.
Survival, evasion, resistance, escape.
No, evasions afterwards, because you escape.
Survival, escape,
Oh, no.
survival, evasion, right? Not a strong speller.
We're retired.
So anyways, with that, when you're in the cell the whole time, I have these 18 guys literally waiting to get torn apart. You don't know.
So just a second, though, Paul. Just so SERE School, what it is. SERE School is for special operations pilots. In case you get behind enemy lines, you do get captured, like they did.
Always.
Yeah,
They set it up for that.
There was in the Gulf War, there was a couple pilots. There was a couple of British SAS guys who got captured.
Yep.
And it's basically to train you how to survive on the land, right? Evade the bad guys. If you do get captured, survival resistance. How you resist?
How long does it take for
that school?
No, for someone to respond to get you out?
Well, you're hoping there's assets all.
In my
around,
case,
right?
I didn't get much
But
help.
he wasn't right.
No.
Yeah, I did get my time in court and basically bribed a judge in front of 100 people. See, when I was getting rolled up at the airport, I made a call, something's not right here. So people weren't far. The embassy was pretty close. People came by, grabbed, I had money for a specific reason. Yeah, so they grabbed all my things, except I had pictures of my then girlfriend and daughter, which I put in a sock. And the reason is I wanted to look at them in case I thought I was dead. I didn't know what was going on. Worst case scenarios going through your head. So you end up in the jail cell with the 18 guys. I'm like, this is great. And if something happens, the guards aren't going to do anything. This is real.
Right.
The military, nobody knows at the time, Americans, I was in a jail cell yet. They knew I got rolled up. People that grabbed my money and did all that, but they didn't know where it was going to end up. Neither did I. So then the overnight thing, doing Stairway to Heaven in my head about 1,000 times, The way I think I got out of that, I was lucky 2 of the prisoners happened to be journalists because they have journalists that go in and out of the cells. They push the buttons. And so I said, see, on the wall, they always put Allahu Akbar on the wall. This is in Urdu in Pakistan. So I'm like, the hell with it. Can I write Paul was here on there? And 2 guys were snickering. So I'm like, oh, shit, somebody speaks English a bit. This is pretty cool. Light bulbs are flashing and all that. So then finally, we started talking back and forth and all that. Are you married? You got kids? And I'm like, oh, shit, I got the pictures. Awesome. Here you go. And people are passing them around, everything else. And
So you're humanizing yourself, essentially.
oh, everybody's humanized. Everybody's a parent, everything else. So you're a human being instead of, both ways looking at each other.
The asshole white guy from America.
Yeah, somebody that wants to kill each other,
Right, yeah,
essentially.
yeah.
Yeah. And so eventually when I had my day in court the next day, the person with my money and stuff showed up. I got my call, got to see an embassy representative, all that. So I go to court with them, take the money in front of 100 people, hand it to them.
That's all they want is that American money.
That's
And do you
it.
think that's why they rolled you up, Paul?
No, nobody knows why. I think it had something to do with, because at the time the Bin Laden thing was going on, they knew we were there all for that, whether it was Carmel, whether it was following the couriers, whether it was whatever, you're doing something with that specificity.
Right, right.
And
I was in country when that happened.
When you're yeah.
I was in Afghanistan. That was the next deployment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
J-Bad?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was J.
Oh, J-Bad, yeah.
And I was in Logar.
I
Bob
was
Shake.
in Peshawar, right next door.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking A.
Peshawar, Islamabad, and the jail cell was Rawalpindi.
Yep.
So, so I eventually got out, and it was funny on my way out. The person at the airport actually had to stamp, paid him money too, like everybody else. A little that was left had to stamp my passport, entry not allowed. So you're looking at a fugitive of a sovereign nation, or somebody that got kicked out of one at least. So my trip to K2's off. So, yeah.
You bummed
But
about
that was the scariest thing, and the reason being, if you're in a firefight IED, that's fast. You train for that all the time. You react. You got to train muscle memory. Train all the time so you don't think. When you're sitting there and everyone's staring at you, especially before I knew anyone spoke English, in my mind, I'm dead, but you can't show it. You can't be overt. It's like the dog that's shivering and the big dog tears it apart and all that, I would have got. And then not long after that, another SF guy got caught and jailed there and did get killed. So I think
really?
every day I'm like, Christ, how lucky.
Yeah.
They torture you over there too.
I didn't get tortured, though. I honestly didn't. I think I might have been grabbed a couple times, this and that. I think they knew. There are actually some good people that knew, dude, you were set up. We're playing the game right now, and whatever happens to you in the cell happens. We're not going to interfere either way. But at this point, it was kind of checking the block stuff, and, yeah.
Well, I'm glad you guys came home almost in one piece.
Oh, yeah.
But you're all family men. I know Squiggs is, and I know you guys are. But
Yeah.
The mental challenge of being home now. I know you're retired and everything. That's got to be a huge challenge. I mean, I got PTSD just from my father. If you didn't eat the bread, the crust of the bread, if you just ate the middle. My little niece ate a piece of bread the other day, and just leaving the middle, the crust out, my mind would spin. I could imagine what you guys.
I'm dead. I'm dead.
Yeah, I thought I was dead. But do you guys? Does the military help you out with psychiatric help or?
There's good programs out
Programs
there.
that
The All
help
Secure
out.
Foundation, run by a good friend of mine, Tom Satterley. Went to the home base program in Boston, was really good. She made me actually, with the Pakistani thing, start from beginning to end. And to get through the whole thing was about an hour and a half, asking the colors on the wall, what people were wearing. It's odd you can remember all that, but you can. And then replay it time after time after time. And then after so many times, it seems to have, I don't know.
I think it's gotten much better mental health support since GWOT, right? The VA does in different organizations. I don't want to speak for these guys, but yeah, I definitely got PTSD from that, right? And it's it is what it is, right? I'm not I can still hold down a job. I still have a family.
That's what I mean, you guys.
My biggest was when, and I thank God. I mean, I couldn't imagine being married and having kids and doing that job or the job back then.
Be in a different mindset.
Oh, it's just horrible. I just remember, and I even said it in the book. I still remember. I don't know why it flashed, but in the middle of the Battle of Mogadishu, it was a Sunday morning or afternoon where we were. It was about 7 hours ahead back in the States, and I kept remembering. I don't know why I thought I was just thinking of my parents' Sunday. My parents have no idea that I'm fighting for my life, and that they're having a cup of coffee, they're reading the paper, that sort of thing, and no idea what's going on. And if I get killed, just the sadness in not for me, but my whole family, my mother, my parents, right? And I couldn't imagine. Again, then there's a lot of guys who, if you have kids, trying to go through that sort of thing, or over, you multiple kids, and unfortunately, that's that you see that a lot. So, of KIAs with families, and I have one of my most stirring pictures I have is one of my buddies who was killed over there, and his daughter hugging his gravestone. I mean, it brings a tear to my eye every day, right? And so again, I'm glad I didn't have a family over there, but yeah, I know it's very, very in those type of units. Unfortunately there's a high divorce rate.
Yeah.
Right. There's frankly you've been doing multiple deployments. There's alcoholism and drug addiction, and even when you get out, and to this day, 30 plus years later, just at eating. I mean, I'm not going to suck the fun out of the room, but I just had a buddy commit suicide Saturday night before Thanksgiving. I'm sorry, Easter. And you just like, why, what, who, again, we don't have to get into all kinds of details or why, who, what, but there's definitely a mental illness from seeing that type of carnage and that type of war and that type of what people can do to each other and just the evilness of it all. And I think that lingers, with men, whether it's special operations guys or it's a guy who was the National Guard and a truck driver and he saw a truck in front of him get blown up, and
Well, it's something you have to deal with. Does the training being a ranger, make you strong-minded so you can get through this? I know some guys
I think
slip
you have
through
to
the
be of a
track.
strong mind to get into that environment to begin with.
Yeah.
I do.
But while you're there,
Makes it tougher.
they do a good job at that whole break you down to build you back.
Yep.
Like that's a real thing. Like you can't go into basic training or into a contract with the military and come out.
They own you.
Yeah, and they own you, but at the same time, there's a transformation process that happens while you're there, and you come out a different person than when you came in. Oh
yeah.
I mean, you grow up very quick. You see 18-year-old kids that come in there and they're full-on grown-ass men by the time they're 22.
I mean, if I was in my mid-20s and in the jail experience or the Kandahar where I showed you those pictures,
Yeah.
that's another thing. There was no way I would have survived it or been at least cognizant of myself or what's going on, anything.
Yeah.
The Kandahar thing especially became natural. You just rolled with it. The jail thing became something I survived.
For some people, like you guys, obviously, just like you said, you got to move on and you got to deal with it. Unfortunately, it doesn't happen for everybody.
Yeah, and that's the tough thing because some people get stuck, and
The family, yeah, it hurts the family.
I know when I heard about Tom and your guys, I was sitting in Reading at my wife's house, girlfriend at the time, and I broke down because that's family. I mean, like you hear stories about that, on Facebook and stuff like that, and it's like, man, like why did I get out? Why did I get out of that? Like I wanted to stay. Like I was literally thinking about
I should have
going
been there
back
with them.
in that day
Yep.
and getting back into it. And I broke down. I cried. And for some guys, seeing that stuff as a trigger, I'm gonna drink myself to forget, or I'm gonna start doing like this is what the military doesn't really help you on. They and military's great,
Love them.
right? You get out and
You're not part of anything.
you're on your own.
Yes.
You're on your own. They give you those resources. Those resources are there. But
Nobody's
who's
pulling
gonna
you to 'em.
who's
Yeah.
gonna tell you,
Yeah.
hey, you need to be here at this time to do this or that and that, and that's what they're failing at, and that's why we see a lot of people getting triggered by certain types of events, movies, even certain words, whatever, and I started doing it almost every night, just drinking.
Really?
Just drinking, yeah. Because I'd sleep in. I could sleep in. I was living with my parents.
Didn't have to wake up at 6
You
o'clock.
could you could sleep in, yeah. I mean, and then like you wake up, you go do your PT or whatever.
What made you just wake up?
I needed a job. I needed to.
Yes,
I looked at myself.
But you're a dude who figured that out. There are
I was
plenty of
I was
guys-
lucky.
Yeah.
I was lucky, and some guys aren't. Some guys are like, I'm getting these benefits right now. I'm getting this money. I have my own
But
place.
sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think a lot of
but-
times
well-
we're lucky too. You're in a big metropolitan area, right? You're in Boston, right? And where I'm going with this is a lot of guys get isolated. Meaning, if you're going back to Missouri, or in nothing wrong with Missouri, or a country setting, right, where there's not a lot of rangers or special operations guys, there's not a lot of help. What are you going to do? You're going to work at a gas station, whatever you're going to do. You're working at the factory, you're going anything, right? But you start, and I would tell you, I think, my personal opinion, social media both is horrible for people and great for people. And I would tell you, in this case, we have a Facebook page in the Northeast. There's guys from, what am I thinking, Grenada all the way up to this year got out, right? And you get back together, and it's very cathartic. You can say the word.
Cathartic?
Exactly. Thank you. The booze. Thank you.
3 Rangers.
The Rangers, right. That helps. You just, we're all good buddies now. We met in different reasons.
You got to stick
that sort
together
of
as a
thing.
group
Right.
after.
And you bust balls and you have fun, but it is almost a help of it helps you out, right? I think the guys that become isolated, don't know anyone, think their best part of their life, their peak of their life was in the Ranger Regiment, right? And it's 5 years later, and they're doing nothing except drinking or doing something like that, right? They can't hold down a job. They haven't gone and seen anyone about it. Those are the guys that get themselves, unfortunately, in trouble and don't get out
I
of
mean,
it.
that type of training makes you, whatever job you do, you're going to become the best at what you do also.
That is.
Are you in the private security, right?
Yeah, I own a security company.
So you hire a lot of your
It's all
ex-military guys?
predominantly military and police officers. Yeah, retired. Few off-duty active.
Did that right after?
No, I did the contracting thing, which I was 8 years overseas, and then after that worked under big companies, and I didn't like the way they did business. The left hand don't talk to the right hand. A lot of stuff you become public. Everybody knows it's the money. You get the shareholders. Instead of bitching about it, I decided to make a change on my own and start my own thing, and have 29 contractors now. That on and off, they have real jobs too, some of them, but we have a lot of fun, like-minded people, all that. That's kind of therapeutic, getting together with the Ranger SF thing where we have the gatherings. To me, that's therapy. You can talk about things in a way that you can't, it's different.
Yeah.
It's different. And even in the military, a lot of people in the military don't know what we did, so you can't expect civilians to. You really
No,
can't.
You can't.
Point, yeah.
They can't
It's a
feel your
different thing.
pain or they can't think. But
Different.
Or I can be sitting there for 5 minutes trying to explain to them what a brownout is while I'm trying to tell a story. So you just choose
a
not
breach
to.
is.
there's a local, couple cities away, the guy Glenn Doherty, he was in Benghazi. He
Yep.
was a contractor, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
That must have been wild for them guys. I remember Paul helped me out once at the club when I had the nightclub. We had an incident with some gang members. I called you
Yeah.
because none of my employees wanted to come to work. They threatened everybody. They
What
said
did I say?
They were going to kill
Who
everybody.
you, Frankie? Call the state trooper.
Nobody wanted to go to work. Because we were only open Friday, Saturday nights. Nobody wanted to come to work. And I'm like, what are we going to do? And that was, Sunday, Monday. And I'm like, Squigs, you got to get me some military guys. I came up with the idea. Let me put some military guys in front of the place and hook me up with Paul. Paul put some big guys with guns. They had guns and everything.
Guns. Yeah.
So all of a sudden,
Right. It's always great going into a nightclub with the guys out front.
we're in
guns.
downtown.
So relaxing.
Yeah,
Truthfully, my club, they all had guns. They left
Yeah,
me in the
I
car.
know.
yeah, they weren't the only ones.
So they all had guns. I should have got a medal running that place.
PTSD. You want to talk about it?
You got to get over it. Move forward.
Got something you want to say? No.
I'm telling you right now.
Yeah.
So we're in the lines huge. We're predominantly a very diverse club. We had everything coming in there, all different cultures. And when they got in the line, they were like, "Damn, you don't fool around." I says, "You guys fuck around. These guys are ordered to shoot to kill." I was scared. We were scared for 2 weeks. My employees didn't want to come to work. There was
You
like
got threats, right? On
1,000 threats just on Facebook with the something like that. And we got through it. They stayed there like 6 weeks. It was, protected us. We were still in business,
Good.
But that helped out. So these contracts, private security, they could help out, a lot of different businesses.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Did you do any? Are you
No.
contracting?
No.
You all have careers now and everything?
Yep.
There's a bunch of
Family,
guys still doing it.
home,
Yeah. Yeah. We
circle of life.
Yeah.
Yep.
You left the circle for a little bit.
Yeah.
Step
it
down.
fun?
We go shooting to the range. We go to the range, shoot. That brings
Yep.
back. You feel.
Oh, yeah,
badass
that must be fun.
Yeah.
Back when I used to be, or thought I used
Right.
to be.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And I have a size 40-inch waist with a gun.
You know what? I got another question. How many vaccines did you guys have to take?
All of them.
Everything.
Enough to take care of COVID. That's
Yeah. I wasn't worried about COVID.
I have to have a 3-headed kid.
By the third anthrax shot, I woke up. I had a tail.
Yeah. So the medics kept losing my shot record.
Oh, I have a friend of
You have to
mine.
do everything, and then when you go different parts of the world, you have to regionalize. Go
boosters
to Africa,
and-
that's a set of shots. You go to Southeast Asia, that's a set of shots.
Yep.
It's crazy.
So,
You had a couple dozen vaccines in you.
oh God, yeah.
Yeah.
Things I couldn't even tell you what.
we got anthrax in us.
and
That's it. Look, it's outlawed now. They don't say everything.
Yeah.
berry. There was crazy exotic disease.
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
Crazy stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of waterborne type
yeah, parasitic things.
parasitic things. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Tom was drinking out of the faucet over there. I said,
Not worried about it. Not worried about it, man. I'm good. Yeah, I'm good.
you were vaccinated up.
Oh yeah.
He's fine.
Yeah.
I could drink out of the Charles River. I'm fine.
Probably.
What happened to Camp Lejeune?
I'd wipe that out too.
Right. That's nothing.
That's amazing. Well, a friend of mine, I wanted to get him in here. He's a Marine. He was a Captain Marine, but he developed some cancer and everything. He thinks it's from all the.
Might be. We have a lot of Marines that
take-
actually
we take a
work with
second.
us
There you
right
go.
now.
There you go.
Love them.
Take a commercial break.
Take a
Yeah, he blames the vaccines.
What's that?
He blames it all on the vaccines.
Good.
Should.
Who knows? Yeah. There were some that I think were, if I remember, weren't publicly, like they weren't put out to the general public type stuff, right?
Well, like I said, anthrax they don't
Yeah,
have
that's true,
anymore.
yeah.
Yeah, but you need those vaccines going into these other countries.
I guess.
Some,
That's what they tell me.
That's what they told me. Yeah.
They said you had no choice.
Yeah.
To get in line, take it.
Suppose they need the COVID vaccine too.
Yeah. You can get the shot and go on mission, or you don't get the shot and you can stay home.
And get kicked
well,
out.
yeah.
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 Right.
Gee,
But it's
I
your
wonder what I want to do.
voluntary choice, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Personal question: you got different eyes you can put in?
I would if they were cheaper.
Oh, really?
You used to
Yeah,
have
like-
one.
I got a well
Ranger one, didn't you?
Yeah, I got the DUI. It's our unit insignia, distinguished unit insignia.
Not a
But
DUI.
yeah, not driving while intoxicated.
Hey.
DUI.
Yeah, I got .23 or
I got a missing eye.
.232 on it.
Right.
Last time I blew. No,
Excuse me.
It was when I got my DWI, okay, before the Army.
Oh, all right. I didn't
You know,
know
which is
that
why I
road.
had to join the Army.
Go to war, go to jail.
Yeah, that whole thing. It was still real back in
real.
2010. Yeah. Yep. Yep. So no, I only got this one. However, I will make a point to saying that I got it before Dan Crenshaw. We both got them made by the same lady down at Walter Reed, and he's a copycat and son of a bitch.
So the military, do they give you health insurance for the rest of your life?
Well,
If
yeah,
you retire.
Yeah.
And I didn't retire, but I do a lot through the VA now still.
Oh, the best.
Yeah, you get disability.
Oh, the VA's
rating,
the
too.
best hospital
Not,
around.
well, 20%. I need to.
Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you got to go to the VA.
No, I have my own through my company right now, but I still go to the VA and kind of cross section everything that's going on.
Yep.
Like
Yeah,
the
you
VA's
can-
doing sleep stuff with me right now. They have me tied up with all these tubes and stickies all over, 18 different positions. I felt like Robopol. It was really bad.
Sleeper sexual study. What was it?
See, all the
Details,
above.
please.
Oh, the
Details.
Exactly. But
Where were they putting the sticky stuff?
VA, depending on your rating, is very, very good for folks. Yeah. I know Tom, and yeah, the VA worked out for you, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's working. It is working.
Yeah.
Still going.
Yeah.
Yep. I think as a guy that's getting out, if I give any advice, is that if you think you're even just having a hard time, just raise your hand and go talk to somebody at the VA, because the people that don't and try to internalize it. I mean, shit, I just wrote a paper on this for a college course that I'm doing right now about veterans with untreated PTSD or traumatic or TBI, stuff like that. You know, just untreated issues. You know, and I mean, the guy that's doing really, really bad, he's, you know, on drugs and all this kind of stuff and gets shoved into therapy. Those guys actually tend to do better than the guys that are just, you know, Tom, that I'm going through some stuff right now, but, you know, I don't need any help. I can just keep going through, go to work. You know, it's too busy right now. We got soccer. I don't got time to make that call. Like, you know, those are the types of guys that suffer the most.
A lot of the guys too, and if I can interject, I think also think, you know, it's I'm tough, you know, like we still have that mentality even nowadays where, you know, if we're hurt, we try and mask it and
Push through.
yeah,
And that was even the culture too. That was what you're right. Don't
Right.
fall out. Don't be weak. Don't be
Right.
right. And I think, and I don't mean to interrupt you. I am. But no, but yeah, I did.
Yeah.
But as you get older, I think it may be more mature, and
Yeah,
you
yeah.
realize you're not as tough as you think you are.
No,
you know
you're
what?
right.
It's okay to ask for help.
right.
And go.
And that's what we should start pushing is it's okay.
Well, they
to
are.
ask for help.
You know, veterans are the first in line to get most of the jobs today. You know, the fire department. I did the interview with those guys. They said veterans are 1st. I don't know about the police department.
I would say first. I think you get a couple
they'd have
extra
to-
points, or I mean, you
Yeah,
still have
you-
to qualify.
yeah.
I agree,
Yeah,
100%. You know,
Okay.
even with the school situation we're having,
Yep.
they should have a veteran in every single school. You know what I mean?
I think so.
Protecting-
I love that idea. That's a great
Well,
idea.
it's
Simple math. You know, they want to talk about the gun laws. You know, obviously it's political, but if they put they have plenty of veterans that would do that in a second.
Yeah.
Combat vets with clear minds.
Right.
Put them
Yeah.
at the front door.
Yeah.
Look for that every single
There's
day.
no
Gotta-
kid
gotta
versus
vet.
somebody
Go
with a
shoots
gun.
once a
Right.
year.
Yep.
Well, I will
better.
tell you, Massachusetts, a lot of things I don't like about Massachusetts. One thing I do like about Massachusetts, they passed a law more than a few years ago that says every town has to have what's called a veteran service officer. So every town you live in, if you're a veteran, you can go see that. He's at the town hall, most likely, and he can help you. Biggest problem with the VA and any government organization is trying to wade yourself through it, right? Trying
Bureaucracy.
to understand bureaucracy and what do I have to sign up for? And I got a form. This makes no sense
I got
whatsoever.
a question for you for the
Yeah.
about bureaucracy.
Yeah.
Afghanistan, the pullout that recently did, and all those weapons. I mean, I want it coming from you guys. What's your thoughts about leaving all our weapons? Was it a political thing they do, or why would they leave all that equipment and the way they left?
I can't
Afghanistan?
fathom it. It makes, I mean, they're going to use them against us eventually. I think they've already used some in different parts of the world, including recent events. I mean, ACOG scopes on terror groups, it never had them before.
ACOG is a type of
It's a scope.
scope that goes on.
$10,000 or whatever.
Yeah, but you saw that video of them trying to fly one of our Blackhawks. That didn't last very long. That was,
Thank God for that.
thank God for that, right?
Drone, what's that?
Trial and error.
I mean, they have to keep up. They have to have maintenance on those types of things. But you're right. The average weapon or night optical devices, nods, that
don't-
sort of stuff
yeah.
is going to the bad guys. It's
Yeah.
whatever.
And it's a force
We
multiplier for
created
them.
the probably 7th or 8th best equipped army in the world right now.
Yeah.
Billions of dollars, $80 billion.
You never hear anybody talk about that.
No.
Well, and that's the thing too. You just give them that technology, so now they know what to look for. You know, they
You can reverse engineer anything.
well, it's not that they don't have to reverse engineer it. They just got the name now. They can look on Amazon.
Yeah, but even better. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, there's no shortage of American cash that we found over there, wherever that there is.
Yeah.
You know, so it's not a far cry now that they can hook up to a Wi-Fi with something and get anything delivered. You know.
Right to it, the cave near you.
Yeah, yeah.
And I don't think it's like
Deliver with camels? What are they doing?
for me. It's,
Hiluxes.
It's
Toyota
yeah,
Hilux.
yeah. The equipment that we left, that's kind of fucked up. But you know, losing guys overseas and then having to leave that quick,
Like that.
After spending 20 years.
Yeah.
it's a slap in the face.
Yep.
I remember.
It is.
I honestly, I think about that all the time. You know, you could keep our equipment, all that stuff. I want those guys back.
The reality.
Yeah.
What is the reality? I know administrations blame each other, but isn't the military in charge of the decision?
No.
Or is it the
Commander-in-Chief.
politician?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're a civilian-ran military.
Yeah, Commander-in-Chief.
That's amazing.
Commander-in-Chief.
So
of the
years ago,
military.
Commander-in-Chief had to come from the military years ago. You know, they need to continue that probably if he's going to make calls like that. You know what I mean? So
You think about all the guys you lose over there and all that stuff, and now I really do think for what, like I was talking about Kandahar, when that happened, I came that close to dying. A good friend of mine, Gary Willard, did die suppressing or killing a guy who had a suicide vest going to the chow hall. One Gurkha hit Garang, got killed. 3 or 4 more get injured when the wall incinerated. And then it's like, you know, the place was wiped out. And you're thinking about all that we came back from and everything else, and it's like, now it's like, for what? It's like, Christ.
So, you guys got kids?
Yep. Yep.
Would you put them in the military?
I got my.
Your son went to college.
You went to college. My daughter's my son. Yeah, I'd be, I'd be happy for them to go to the military. Do I want them to go into some special operations? I'd be very proud of them if they did. I mean, but I think the military is awesome. You know what? I should have, and I think there's a lot of people should have gone in the military right out of high school. I went to college. I was a little bit different, and I was a knucklehead all through college. And it's a funny story in my family. Even my wife. I thought I graduated when I went in. I didn't graduate. That's how much of a knucklehead. I had the amount of points. But my point being was I was immature. I didn't know, like Tom had said earlier in the show here, or the podcast, that you get matured real quick once you go in the military. I was not, wasn't dumb. I wasn't a jackass. Anything like that. Just wasn't mature. I just didn't know what real work was. I didn't know what real focus and determination was until you got into the military. Now, thank God I found it right in there. I wouldn't have made it. But I would tell you, once I got out, I went back to school and I got straight A's. And it wasn't because I knew anything better. I just was
Learned
more
how to
mature.
cheat?
Yeah, right, exactly.
Purpose, direction,
right.
motivation.
Right,
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
right. The term adapt and overcome is a huge motto wording within the military and within the Rangers. Adapt to the situation and overcome it. So, I never heard that. I didn't know what that meant. I didn't know what that means. I never had to really experience it. I think, so back to your original question, yeah, I would be happy my kids went into the military, to whatever branch it would be.
My nephew just signed up and went to the Air Force. Wasn't sure at first maybe if we make the cut or whatever, but he did fine. Now he's got a top secret clearance. He loves his tech school, all that. And just that clearance itself, when he gets out, is worth $100,000 for a company to purchase that for you.
Right.
And they know you're trainable if you at least did a few years at any branch of service. So you're at least trainable.
Absolutely.
So I got a 5-year-old right now. Well, 6-year-old, sorry.
Boy.
Boy. And he's wearing my old PC. and he found one of my JSAM Joint Service Accommodation medal that I got for just doing a mission with a bunch of SEALs, and he found like the full medal, and so he pinned that to his chest the other day and was running around and went to school with it, and I guess he was stalking around in the playground and tackling some of his buddies and stuff
Giving
like
knife
that.
hand signals.
Not yet. I gotta teach him that though.
Push-ups.
But he had a full fire team to include a medic even.
Oh, let your feet do push-ups there.
And
That goes.
we I'll be honest with you, there's the thought in the back of my head, that it's a bad thing, but the kid loves it so much, and it's his path that he has to walk.
Yeah.
If the day comes and he comes to me and he wants to have that conversation about joining the military, I definitely am going to push him towards more of a soft skill, probably.
Check out the Air Force, the Coast
Yeah,
Guard.
check out the Air Force first, maybe. But
My nephew
what
loves
I-
it.
At the Coast
Yeah.
Guard, go protect the shores of Cape Cod.
I
Yeah.
tried to get my son in the Air Force. He wouldn't do it.
Yeah, but I mean, if the kid wants to go the same route as the old
Great
man,
engineering
I can't, I understand why. He's my son. It makes sense.
It's tough.
Yep, and he loves it. Loves everything about it.
Well, gentlemen, I appreciate you guys coming out here and telling your stories, but these are real guys. Special forces, I mean, they're here part of keeping America safe. I think a lot of people don't realize, why America's so safe. They don't think they see behind the scenes how much work the military actually really does, and even the FBI.
Yeah.
All the shit that they take down that they don't talk about.
Right.
Stop from happening.
Or the Mass State Police fellas.
Everybody. We're well organized.
Yep.
We do keep safe, and I don't think a lot of people really realize this or appreciate it. But
I got one more thing I'd like to
Yeah, go ahead.
plug. I would like to plug the Range Regiment for one really positive thing that I think that is overlooked when kids are shopping around for what they want to do in the military if they are looking to go to a recruiter. The great thing about the 75th Ranger Regiment is that you can be in a special operations entity within 6 months of joining the military. So, whereas our SF brothers, they had I'm guessing it's about a two-year process.
Yeah, usually an E4 at least when you go in.
Yep.
Not all the time, but
Yep.
usually.
But for if you don't know what you're doing, you have no idea, you don't have a direction in your life, and you want to get out of Dodge for about 3 years, which is an Army contract, you can sign up for the Ranger Regiment, and in 6 months, you will be part of a special operations command.
Team, I would tell you, yeah.
Yep.
I would tell you, it was one of the best decisions I made in my life.
Best job I ever had.
Had friends, obviously, who were killed, but I tell you, I still have friends to this day, including you guys, that I would consider lifelong friends.
I do
Absolutely.
it again.
I totally. Without a doubt.
Not even think about
Yeah,
it.
Yep. Wouldn't think twice.
right.
Yep.
it's the safest I've ever felt in my house tonight.
Only tonight.
I'll run through a wall for you. It's my favorite thing. Just give me a helmet and a mouth guard.
Well, thank you again for coming.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for having us.
All right, gentlemen.
Rangers lead the way.
Oh, I forgot to say,
Is that okay?
like and subscribe. I'll send one of these guys after you.
What do you want to say?
Like and subscribe. Buttons.
And Rangers lead the way.
Where's
Where's the bottle? Where's the bottle? Yeah, there you go.
DOL, baby.
Salud.
Salud.
Salud.